Welcome to SVG-TV News, Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Parliament has passed amendments to the Immigration Restriction Bill, officially expanding free movement rights on the three key categories of the legislation. The changes take effect from October 1st, 2025 and include full free movement for nationals of Barbados and Belize, a 6-month stay allowance for citizens of 3 French overseas departments and territories, Martinique, Guadeloupe, and St. Martin. The amendments were tabled by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who described the changes as a meaningful step towards deepening regional integration and enhancing mobility within CARICOM and the OECS.
The associate member states are those member states of the OECS. These member states are Martinique, Guadeloupe, and St. Martin, 3 French overseas territories. So nationals, persons born in those countries or born of individuals who are born in those countries in any other territory and who have the citizenship of any of those territories, any of those French overseas territories, would be entitled to a 6 months entry into St. Vincent and the Grenadines to enhance freedom of movement. That particular provision, Madam Speaker, existed for CARICOM member states which were not OECS member states, because OECS member states.
Dr. Gonsalves highlighted that 4 countries have agreed to full free movement with St. Vincent and Grenadines, with Barbados and Belize being new additions.
So, these 4 countries, as of October the 1st, under the Enhanced Cooperation Package, have agreed, that is to say Belize, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, within the context of CARICOM and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, that these states will have full free movement. But you will see, Madam Speaker, Dominica and St. Vincent and Grenadines already have that under the OECS. So the 2 new ones are really Barbados and Belize. And Clause C stipulates that the other protocol CARICOM states shall be entitled to enter and remain for a period of 6 months in St. Vincent and the Grenadines unless prohibited otherwise by law.
The Prime Minister further explained that expanding full free movement is expected to benefit all participating countries, not only by facilitating employment opportunities, but also by addressing population stagnation in some territories.
Of great help to Vincentians, and many of us have constituents, people who currently from St. Vincent go to Barbados, and they're not supposed to work, Madam Speaker, in the 6 months. But sometimes they do work under the radar, but they are not very well protected because they're not supposed to be working. Similarly, others who come here under that arrangement, and employers often take advantage of them because they do not have the legal status. Now, after October the 1st, from October the 1st, they'd be able to go to Barbados and work, come off the plane, and work there in the way in which Grenadians can come here under the OECS arrangement, or St. Lucians or Vincentians go there, or Antigua or St. Kitts.
While supporting the free movement of people, the Prime Minister emphasized that security protocols remain intact. He noted that entry can still be denied on security grounds and immigration officers will be required to exercise vigilance when processing entrance. And leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, voiced his full support for the amendments, stating that free movement gives real meaning to regional integration. Dr. Friday said this bill reflects the principles of unity they have been striving for in CARICOM and the OECS. However, he noted that while OECS countries already enjoy full free movement, citizens have not yet felt its full impact, and that with Barbados and Belize now part of the process, he is hopeful to start to see real change.
We have now before us a bill which in a sense broadens that movement to include Barbados and Belize. I remember some time ago, must have been, about 2 years now, a year and a half, there was a delegation from CARICOM that came to St. Vincent, and they had meetings with us and various other stakeholders, because there was a movement or a deadline that had been set for the implementation of the free movement of people. And there were certain things that had come up as to what the restrictions or the obstacles were, but there seemed to have been some degree of confidence that most of those could be overcome, and the general thrust towards the free movement of people within CARICOM could be accomplished. We've seen, Madam Speaker, that that has not been the case. What we have now is not a full-scale movement, but a step in that direction would be testing of the waters, so to speak, of the two countries. When I say two countries, Belize and Barbados, because we already have, as I said earlier, free movement among the OECS countries.
We apologize for the poor audio quality. And SVG's ambassador to CARICOM, Alan Alexander, said the implementation of free movement between Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines marks a significant step toward national and regional progress. Speaking on radio today, Ambassador Alexander emphasized that the initiative will enhance SVG's integration into the CARICOM single market and economy, the CSME, and create greater economic and social opportunities for Vincentians.
As part of CARICOM, St. Vincent and Grenadines has always been trying to make efforts to build the CARICOM single market economy, which basically allows for the free movement of goods, services, capital, persons, and so on across the participating member states. At our regular meeting of 49th regular meeting of the CARICOM heads of government, which was held in Jamaica on the 7th and 8th of July this year, the heads agreed that Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines could go ahead to pursue full free movement of their nationals as of tomorrow, the 1st of October, 2025. So it's a really, really big day for us tomorrow.
The ambassador pointed out that as of October 1st, 2025, Vincentians will be able to move freely among Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and SVG. Citizens of these countries will enjoy key rights within each other's territories, including the right to live, work, and access basic social services without the need for work permits or visas.
It means that citizens of St. Vincent and Grenadines can move freely to any of the other three participating member states, being Belize, Barbados, and Dominica. Well, we already have free movement between St. Vincent and Grenadines and Dominica under the OECS arrangement. So it's just now the inclusion of Barbados and Belize, where citizens can move to these countries. As you enter the port of, as you get to the port of entry, you'll be stamped with an indefinite stamp, which allows you the opportunity to move, come and go as you please. You would be allowed to stay in the country for an extended period. In the past, we would have gone to one of the other CARICOM member states and you would be stamped for a 6-month period. But now, this allows you to be free, where you could stay indefinitely in any of the 4 participating member countries You're allowed to work in these countries without work permits. You're allowed to education, primary and secondary education. You'll be allowed to access those services as a Vincentian, for instance. You would be allowed to access emergency and primary health care as a citizen would have for any of the parties within the member state.
Ambassador Alexander also outlined the procedures travelers must follow. Citizens must present a valid passport and any required supporting documentation upon arrival in a participating country. Once cleared by immigration authorities, individuals will be issued a stamp or certificate confirming their rights to reside and work in the host country under the free movement arrangement.
Well, the regular immigration related questions can be asked. Where you're staying, how long you want to stay, and so on. They could be asked, but they would not be. You would still be allowed to stay indefinitely. If you are going for a job, they wouldn't ask you, for instance, if you have a job already, because you're allowed. That's been allowed under this whole enhanced cooperation and freedom of movement, where you can go there and look for a job. What is recommended though, and that's something that we are still setting up, is a registration process where we want persons to, if they go, for instance, to Belize to work, where after a period of a week, if that's the intention, a week or so, they register that with the competent authority, their intention to stay. That's basically a lot for statistical purpose to make sure that you are logged into the Inland Revenue Service, that you are logged into the Social Security services and so on, and that you are basically there as a citizen of the country.
Alexander described the policy as a progressive and people-centered initiative that will not only boost employment and business prospects, but also strengthen cultural ties and foster a greater sense of regional unity. The free movement of people is a core pillar of the CARICOM single market and economy, aimed at facilitating the seamless exchange of skills, goods, services, and capital among member states. While some CARICOM nations have already adopted aspects of free movement, this latest agreement represents a deepened commitment among the 4 participating countries. Officials from all 4 governments have pledged continued collaboration to address any challenges that may arise during implementation and to expand the agreement to include more CARICOM members in the future. In other local news now, we hear that the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Electricity Services Limited (VINLEC) has officially decommissioned the pipeline serving the Cumberland 3 hydropower station effective today. The move follows an internal safety review that determined continued operation of the Cumberland 3 generators pose a potential hazard. Speaking on local radio this morning, VINLEC's Chief Executive Officer Vern Lewis said that maintaining the Cumberland 3 generators in operation has been deemed unsafe due to deteriorating infrastructure and heightened risks to nearby communities.
An hydro power system is comprised of 3 power stations. We call them Cumberland 1, Cumberland 2, and Cumberland 3. They're a cascade, so we have intakes that feed at the highest altitude Cumberland 1 power station, which is the largest power station. And then the outflow from Cumberland 1 feeds into Cumberland 2, which is the second largest power station. And the outflow from Cumberland 2 feeds into Cumberland 3. And Cumberland 3 is the power station that is most visible for persons heading on the leeward side. As you cross the bridge into the Spring Village area, you would see the large pipeline come down. And as you drive towards more the Cumberland Bay and you look to your left, you will see the Cumberland hydropower station. So that is a power station where we are thinking of shutting down the generators.
Lewis assured the public that power supply will not be disrupted as a result of the decommissioning. He clarified that the Cumberland Hydro Power Station itself will remain operational, but only the specific generators associated with the now decommissioned pipeline will be taken offline.
Just to be clear, we are shutting down the generators at the power station, but we are not shutting down the power station because the power station houses other facilities. In fact, we run 4 hydropower stations currently from that location, because at Cumberland 3 we run remotely. We run Cumberland 1, Cumberland 2, and we also run the Richmond power station remotely from that location. So when we talk about shutting down the generators, we are shutting down the generators there, but the operators at that location, they will remain, as well as the supervisors, the storage facilities, the other pipeline staff that work from that location. All of that would remain, but it's the generators that we are shutting down. And the reason we are shutting down those generators, it's primarily due to the pipeline.
Noting that the energy landscape is evolving, Lewis assured residents that they are committed to providing safe, reliable, and increasingly clean energy to customers, and that systems have been put in place to maintain power to the area.
So the pipeline that feeds Cumberland 3 originates from Cumberland 2, which is above the Spring Village area. And that pipeline runs close to quite a few residents in the village. That's expanding. And we have assessed it over a period of years, and we have determined that it is becoming a safety risk to the people. We also held a town hall meeting with the people to hear their concerns about the pipeline. And after much consideration, we considered the safety implications if there is a pipeline blowout, and there could be a pipeline blowout for various reasons. There's another issue, a potential health issue, where the pipeline is made of wood, just like you would. It's made of what we call wood staves, pieces of wood that are banded together, just like you would a barrel, a wooden barrel, and you shape them into a pipe. And the replacement of wood staves, new wood staves, they are treated because they have to last a couple of decades. And the treatment, the scent from the treatment is quite strong.
The Cumberland hydro power facilities, built in phases starting in the 1980s, have played a critical role in supplying renewable energy to Western St. Vincent. However, aging infrastructure and changing climate conditions have put pressure on the integrity of older assets. Despite the retirement of Cumberland 3, Vilexels, it continues to advance several renewable energy projects to ensure continued progress towards sustainability. These include replacing the Lomond Space solar farm with a notably a larger modern system that will replace over half of Cumberland 3 renewable energy output. This project is scheduled for completion in the second half of 2026. The much anticipated new port in capital Kingstown is scheduled to officially open on October 24th, 2025 and become fully operational on October 25th. According to Minister of Urban Development, Energy, Seaports, Grenadines Affairs and Local Government, Benava Brown. Minister Brown made the announcement while responding to a question posed in Parliament yesterday by Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday. The opposition leader had inquired about the official operational date of the new port and whether any measures are planned to improve access to large trucks and trailers, as well as the anticipated impact of port traffic on congestion in Kingstown. In her response, Minister Brown confirmed that the traffic flow to and from the port will be revised to better accommodate the projected volume of vehicles, including large trailers and 40-foot containers.
Within the scope of the work, the contractor will undertake minor road improvements at the following junctions: Melvin Street and Bay Street, McCoy Street and Bay Street, Higginson Street and Bay Street, Higginson Street and Grenville Street. The works will include surface pavement repairs, manhole upgrades, drainage repairs. No corner widening. Works are expected to be executed under the port construction contract, as current turning radii have been deemed adequate. However, to facilitate large truck movement, roadside parking along certain streets must be discontinued, Madam Speaker. These streets include McCoy, Melville, and Higginson. And the third part, a traffic volume assessment study was commissioned at the commencement stage of this project. This study projected the completion of the port, the anticipated traffic increase over the next 30 years. Findings are currently under review, and the implementation of the recommendation measures will be undertaken in close collaboration with the police and other relevant stakeholders. Madam Speaker, the government is committed to ensuring that the traffic to and from the new facility is properly managed as to minimize disruption and to maintain safe and efficient movement in Kingstown.
Minister Brown said the government is committed to ensuring that the new port delivers on its objectives, enhancing trade, strengthening economic competitiveness, and contributing to national development while integrating responsibly into the daily operations of capital city Kingstown. The new Kingstown port is one of the largest infrastructure projects undertaken in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in recent years. Funded through international partnerships and loans, the facility is expected to modernize cargo handling, improve logistics efficiency, and serve as a strategic hub for regional trade. Officials say the port will also feature upgraded customs processing, expanded storage and loading facilities, and a more resilient design capable of accommodating future growth in maritime traffic. Now we hear that over the next 2 months, the Ministry of Culture will undertake a nationwide initiative to document and preserve St. Vincent and the Grenadines' intangible cultural heritage through a project funded by UNESCO in the amount of $67,000. The project was officially launched today at the National Public Library in Kingstown with representatives from UNESCO, government officials, and members of the local cultural sector in attendance. Janelle Henry Rose, UNESCO representative, explained that the project falls under the broader theme of strengthening local capacities to safeguard St. Vincent and the Grenadines' intangible cultural heritage.
Heritage protection is not the responsibility of any one person, not the Department of Culture or the small community groups. It includes all task managers. Protection and safeguarding our heritage means strengthening the policies and the legislation. It is the act of empowerment, building the capacity and the rights of all communities, of everybody to manage. SVG holds in all our expression of intangible heritage. Ours is a living testimony of our rich culture. Now, therefore, the protection of our heritage should never be an option. It must be given precedence. We keep repeating this, but we have to act on it.
The Department of Culture, which operates under the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, will spearhead the project in communities across the country. Permanent Secretary Dr. Timura Brown underscored the long-term value of the initiative, pointing out that the project is vital for revamping and revitalizing our cultural heritage and ensures that our customs and traditions are preserved in all their forms for future generations.
We are affirming that these practices and traditions are not relics of the past, but they are vital elements of our present and of our future. They carry the wisdom of our ancestors, the resilience of our communities, and the creativity of our people. And these elements of our identity must not just be done in a moment or for a moment in time, but must be captured and preserved for a lifetime. This national project calls each of us into action, each and every one of us.
The documentation project will involve direct community participation. Director of Culture Maxine Brown, noting that efforts will be made to identify and record as many unique cultural practices as possible, ranging from traditional dances and songs to oral histories, festivals, and culinary heritage.
This paves the way for us to promote awareness, protection, and revitalization of traditional practices, knowledge, and expressions that are vital to Vincentian history or identity. The areas of focus surrounds performing arts, indigenous foods, indigenous herbs, and traditional craft in the following zones: Leeward, Windward, Kingstown, and the Grenadines. Within the aforementioned zones, we will zero in on the following: cake making, Union Island; boat making, Beckway; indigenous herbs and food in the Windward part of the country, Boom Jump and the Jump personnel is entering in Kingstown, the Quadrille and Moonlight Games also in Kingstown, traditional characters and drums, more drums, North Leeward, the drums, they bring the message, and Calabash Art in South Leeward.
The first phase of the cultural program will begin later this week on Union Island and will continue through November 21st, culminating in North Leeward. The project is strategically timed to align with independence celebrations in October, which typically highlight national pride and cultural expression. The initiative is part of a broader UNESCO-supported program across the Caribbean aimed at safeguarding intangible cultural heritage through capacity building, community engagement, and sustainable preservation practices. The National Independence Committee, under the auspices of the Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, Carlos James, will host the official national flag-raising, fireworks and lighting display ceremony tomorrow, Wednesday, October 1st, 2025, beginning at 6 p.m. on the grounds of the Financial Complex in Kingstown. The signature event will officially launch the month-long celebrations marking the 46th anniversary of independence of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which gained independence from Britain on October 27th, 1979. Highlights of the ceremony will include the hoisting of the national flag, symbolizing national pride and unity, a spectacular fireworks display lighting up the night sky in celebration, the illumination of the financial complex, showcasing national colors, a keynote address by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who also serves as Minister of National Security and Tertiary Education. In a news release, the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture emphasized that the flag-raising ceremony is a significant national moment, offering Vincentians an opportunity to reflect on their shared identity and to look toward the future with hope and purpose. The release stated that the significant occasion presents an opportunity for Vincentians to come together in celebrating our identity and inspiring our future. The public is encouraged to attend and participate in this unifying and patriotic event, which sets the tone for a month of cultural, educational, and commemorative activities across the country.